For some reason, I lost the Zoom. Got it back.
Dennis, why don't you get started, please?
Mhm. Good afternoon. I'm Dennis Galucki. Welcome to the 501st virtual, 501st Imagine Greater Buffalo program and our 123rd virtual Imagine Buffalo program, hosted by our downtown cultural treasure, our Buffalo and Erie County Public Library. Thanks for joining us today. This program is created by the Center for the Study of Art, Architecture, History, and Nature, or C-SAAHN, as I pronounce the acronym, and ImagineLifelongLearning.com. Before we get started, just a little housekeeping. Everyone watching will be muted and your video turned off. If you have a question or comment, please type it into the chat box and we'll go through them at the end of the presentation. We are recording this program, so you can watch it again later on the Downtown Central Library's Facebook page and YouTube channels, and please share the link with others. Now, on this sunny day, it's a perfect time to talk about gardens. Here are our featured speakers, Beth Kreutzer and Samantha White. Beth has been on the Garden Walk Buffalo Committee since 2014 and is the force behind the Garden Walk Buffalo map. She is currently the co-chair of the Garden Walk Buffalo Committee and last year served as the chair. Beth is also secretary of the Gardens Buffalo Niagara Board of Directors. She has been the controller for Lackawanna Products Corporation since 2000. Her famous Dragon's Den garden is part of the Tours of Open Gardens. Samantha is an attorney, a wife, a mother, and current Gardens Buffalo Niagara board member and Eastside Garden Walk co-chair. She received her JD from SUNY University at Buffalo School of Law and her bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Rochester. Samantha is a longtime resident of Buffalo's East Side and vice president of her block club. As a social justice activist, she organizes community activities and helps to distribute resources to those in need. Through the East Side Garden Walk, Samantha has been a vocal advocate for the revitalization of the East Side. Her efforts have resulted in a New York State grant for $750,000 to repair the streetscape surrounding the Freedom Wall, a wonderful project. So now let's welcome both Beth and Samantha. Take it away, ladies.
Good afternoon. I'm Beth Kreutzer. Sam?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. I believe that Beth is about to screen share and we'll get into our presentation in just a moment. So we're here from Gardens Buffalo Niagara. It's the umbrella organization over a whole bunch of different organizations or different events like Garden Walk Buffalo, Eastside Garden Walk, Open Gardens, the Garden Art Sale. Help me out, Beth.
The Children's Garden Festival and
Children's
Urban Farms Day.
And does that cover it all?
I think so. I think we've got everything here. But more to come in the future.
So this organization has been in existence for 29 years. And we're actually going to go into our history. It was founded in 1993 as Garden Walk Buffalo by Marvin Lunefeld and Gail McCarthy. They saw a garden tour out in Chicago and they brought it back here. And man, did it bloom. They presented the idea to the Norwood West Utica Neighborhood Business Association, and the first garden walk was held just a couple of years later in '95. By 2007, Garden Walk Buffalo was a 501c3, and it was getting participation from private gardeners in their gardens, community spaces, corporate gardeners, church gardens. They were organizing themselves and managing themselves with volunteers and finding financial support and contributions from corporate sponsors, even selling merchandise. People were buying this stuff in order to support. In 2010, we were joined by in 2010, the National Garden Festival was founded. Their goals included spreading garden tourism throughout Western New York. They created and ran garden-based events like the Garden Art Sale and Open Gardens Tour. In 2014, that's when the magic happened. There was a merger of the National Garden Festival and Garden Walk Buffalo because it came to everybody's attention that we're all trying to reinvent the wheel. Why not work together? And in that one merger, we became Gardens Buffalo Niagara and the largest garden tourism entity in the United States of America.
So Garden Walk Buffalo is always held the last full weekend in July. This year, it will be July 29th and 30th. And as Sam has said, it was founded by Marvin Lunenfeld and his wife, Gail McCarthy, and it began with only 29 gardens, but quickly grew. And last year, we had over 300 gardens. This year, I've just finished working on the map. We will have 321 gardens. And it extends now up into include the Parkside and Park Meadow neighborhoods. Runs west of Main Street and then south of roughly Amherst Street from the Parkside area down to the water. There is no judging, no entry fee. Anybody who lives in that footprint can be part of it. There's never been an admission fee. It's free. It's open to everyone. And we do have visitors coming from throughout the world, all over the country, and then obviously locally. And the impact has just been incredible. We've had a huge economic impact, bringing in visitors, and visitors come and stay and visit our restaurants and stay in our hotels, but it's also helped with community building. Our neighbors have gotten to know each other. People from the suburbs have come in and seen the beautiful neighborhoods in the city, the beautiful homes, have gotten to know a lot of our residents. It's really had an impact. Even people who are not part of Garden Walk are outside sweeping their sidewalks, trimming their grass, weeding to look good, for knowing they're going to have a lot of visitors coming down the streets. And
so the Eastside Garden Walk was founded in 2018. We started with 20 gardens. Last year, we were up to 75 gardens. And again, just like Garden Walk Buffalo, we're open to everybody. There's no judging, no entry fees. And you might be thinking, well, isn't the whole point of like putting your garden out there to be like named the best or whatever, but actually the reason that we don't do judging is because it's not about how great your flowers are. I'm sure they're great, but it's not about that. It's about sharing your garden, sharing your experience, and being open and building those relationships between individuals, the gardeners, the visitors, and us as an organization. We try to be there to support that as much as possible. And that's why we've never charged an admission fee. We're not doing it. We didn't do it then. We're not doing it now. We don't anticipate doing it in the future. Okay. You can go and get your maps for free at the Buffalo Public Libraries. We're going to have a headquarters in MLK Park. We also have a second headquarters over at People's Park by the Tri-Main building on Main Street. So we do like to keep these accessible to the public. We also provide free maps online at eastsidegardenwalk.com. Now, the impact of the walk. We are trying to grow that same multi-million-dollar impact that Garden Walk Buffalo has had. But you've got to remember they have a 25-year head start on us. So we are working to grow that financial impact on Black, Indigenous, people of color-owned businesses on the East Side. We work on community building. So part of this is being engaged in the committee process. Part of it is on the ground, being outside, talking to your neighbors as they're walking by your house and you're gardening. Or I have a community garden, bringing my neighbors together in the garden, bringing volunteers from outside the community together in the garden, and being able to just share that connection and be in that moment for that little bit of time. But it's a way for us as residents to take control of the narrative of our community. Oftentimes, you turn on the news and you'll see there's a certain portrayal of the East Side, and that goes back generations. And it's part of that story is based on the segregation of our community. And it's my personal belief that it's difficult to be a good neighbor if you never go to your neighbor's house. So this is a way to invite people from throughout the community to come into the East Side to experience the neighborhood, the people, and to build those connections. So that's the community building that we're talking about. And then we also believe that, I put it onto the last slide for Garden Walk Buffalo, but one of the impacts that we have with these gardens is increasing habitat for pollinators, for small wildlife. And it's important that we save the bees and do all of that good stuff. Now, if our president Lori Owsley was here, I'm sure she would talk about pollinators and hummingbirds. Help me out on this, Beth, but it's super important.
Yes, it is. Having our native plants out there to help these pollinators to keep that. We need the bees for us to stay alive. But so that's one thing we do. Well, we do encourage people to use natives. It's not a requirement, but we are stressing the importance of incorporating native plants into the gardens and what impact it has.
I believe that is one of the items that you'll find identified on your map.
Yes, we do identify the different features each garden has, whether it be a water feature or a vegetable garden. And we do also list the gardens that really focus on having native plants.
And our gardens, they can be ornamental, like just pretty flowers, or they can be food. My community garden, we just got up to 8 raised beds. We're going to be growing things like greens and kale and tomatoes and squashes. And these are things that we'll end up sharing throughout the neighborhood with, families that have, a good number of children. These items can be expensive. So this is just one way to, support healthy living. Now, one of the things that I did want to talk about And I'm gonna ask for the ability to screen share in just a moment.
Okay. I will stop. In addition to the private homes, we, on both the Garden Walk Buffalo and the Eastside Garden Walk, we have quite a few community gardens, which, as Sam said, many of them have raised beds with vegetables. They're places where the neighbors can come together to, whether they're growing flowers or growing food. It's, again, another place where neighbors are getting to know each other and working together to make their neighborhood better.
And not only that, we're going to get to this a little bit later towards the end of our time with you guys, but we do also offer micro grants of up to $1,000 to support these community growing initiatives. I did want to share, last year, for the first time ever, we started what was called the Children's Garden Festival, and it actually occurred during the Eastside Garden Walk. And it included aerial dancers, and you'll see some of the photographs of the children. We had the firemen come out. There were all sorts of activities, grassroots gardens. They came out, and you can see over here, they had the blender on the bicycle, and the kids were able to make healthy food. We had a truckload of a pickup truck worth of clothing come for distribution at no cost. This was a totally free festival, so no admission, and we provided free food for more than 500 people. We provided free book bags to children in need, and bounce houses, bicycle repair, educational activities. In the corner here, you could see the little kids working on making seedlings. We also had Jillian Hainsworth perform, which was just absolutely phenomenal. And then sprinkled in, we have some of the amazing Eastside Gardens. This one here, you could see just the scope of the growth. I wish I gotta find out who did these gardens, because I gotta have them come over to mine. But I did want to just share that. And I know Beth has some phenomenal Garden Walk Buffalo homes to show as well. And I just wanted to throw out there that the Children's Garden Festival has now spun off into its own event, and it will be in Martin Luther King Park on October 8th. Again, it will be admission free. It will include free food. It will include educational activities and fun activities for children. We'll have things like bounce houses and a DJ and a ton of fun stuff to do. Go ahead, Beth.
And as I'm scrolling through some of these pictures, I want to say, as Sam and I both said, our events are free. However, we couldn't do it without our sponsors. We have our corporate sponsors, including Highmark is our main sponsor this year, and they've been wonderful in supporting us in so many ways, as well as contributions and donations from our visitors and our gardeners. We couldn't, of course, do it without our gardeners. We do need them. And if you do contribute, if you go to gardensbuffaloniagara.com, there's a place you can contribute, make a contribution, and you will get both the Garden Walk Buffalo and the Eastside Garden Walk map mailed to you in early July. So you can get a head start planning your tours. But as you can see, there's a wide range of gardens on the walks. Many are, almost all are done by the homeowners. The homeowners are almost always there to chat with you and are extremely friendly and happy to share.
Oh, I got to do the bubbles. That's killer.
Yes. And so those are, like I said, those are some of the gardens you'll see on the Garden Walk Buffalo, and there's gorgeous ones on East Side as well.
And
Then
then I think we just have the
there's
last,
one slide left. So as we talked about, in addition to Garden Walk Buffalo and the East Side Garden Walk, we do have other programs. Sam has mentioned the Lunenfeld grants. Those are citywide micro grants up to $1,000. And we are giving out 27 grants this year.
we've given out over $120,000 worth of grants over the last couple decades.
Yes. We also are hosting the Garden Art Sale at the end of June, June 24th and 25th. It will be at the Botanical Gardens. There'll be over 50 vendors, and it's all garden related art. It's a great event. There is no admission into that. Our Urban Farms Day is Saturday, August 26th. And there will be urban farms throughout the region. There will be a map online, and it's a self-guided tour. There'll be speakers at some of the gardens or some of the farms. And it's just fascinating to see what goes on, how a whole city block turned into an urban farm.
And you have the opportunity to go out there and buy some of the produce because it's coming in by the end of August. So it's also a great way to help support these efforts of these urban farms to rethink how they can fit into a community and how they can provide resources like fresh fruits and vegetables in what could be a food desert.
And then our last event for this season will be the Children's Garden Festival on Sunday, October 8th.
In MLK Park, it's gonna be bumping. So I think at this point, if anybody has questions, please throw them in the chat. Or if any of the hosts have questions for us, we'd love to answer some.
Well, you've given us a great deal of information and dessert for the eyes. That's how I see a lot of these images. Thank you both, Beth and Samantha. I'll ask one, having lived in the city since your inception and watched the incredible power, I think, of community building that these garden walks really point to. They're about gardens, but they're really building a community, certainly on the west side. And our hopes are there that they'll do something similar on the east side, realizing they're just starting like you folks were on the west side years ago. But what gets me, all the people that show up, I never sense any issues. I never sense an extra police present. Usually when we have, it's just people are walking the streets and enjoying the neighborhoods and seeing people's gardens. I mean, it's just year after year amazes me how well it's run. And I just maybe comment on that because people want to feel safe. They want to enjoy themselves. And in a topsy-turvy world, this seems like a haven of beauty and joy. Your thoughts?
Well,
So-
I agree in terms of words that one of our board members usually uses is we have freakishly friendly gardeners here in Buffalo. And so I think it just opens up both the east side and the west side for people to see different parts of the city, different parts of the region that they maybe, it's not someplace they normally go to, and they can see what's there, meet the people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that one of the biggest, let's say, hurdles that we had to overcome when we, especially over on the east side, when we began this process of community building, was to overcome that idea that, oh, this is something to gentrify, right? Because people were worried that, by making the neighborhood look better, they might get priced out. But the idea here is that I live over on the east side. I want to live around stuff that looks nice. And so I personally take the time to go up to Fillmore Ave and, put flowers in some of the planters, I take the time to make the space, and I've been there since '05, this isn't new. I'm not coming into the neighborhood new or anything like that. It's just sometimes you just have to go out there, show who you are, show what you're about, and just build it from the ground up. And that's what we've been working on. And we're seeing a response, and we're seeing more beautification. And part of that is a reaction to what happened last year on 5/14. There's been more interest from volunteers to come out and help. But we're also seeing that there's a momentum that's building, a multi-year momentum that's been building within the East Side for this garden walk and for the beautification of our area. And you're seeing more organizations like Grassroots Gardens moving their headquarters from, I believe it was originally in the West Side, and now they're on the East Side. And you're seeing tons of organizations putting more energy and effort into uplifting this area. So we're just hoping to continue to be part of that community building and to see some of the fruits of it.
Well said, Samantha. Joy, how are we doing for viewer response?
We have a few different questions. Someone did put in the chat, do you have an email newsletter? And I would say if you do, if you can also put in the chat just the response, but tell us as well.
So on the bottom of our webpage, you can sign up for our newsletters. You just drop your email in and you register and you get all of our newsletters. And we have a ton of them. And you can pick specifically for a particular garden walk, whether it's open gardens, whether it's East Side, whether it's garden walk.
Okay.
And we'll also give you opportunities if you do want to volunteer, that will, you'll be able to find out information about our different events and when we do need volunteers.
I was just going to add, if you put in the search Buffalo Garden Walk, any words like that, your site will show up, and the subscription then is at the bottom of that site.
Yes.
Someone wrote, now that it's spring, can you give us some garden tips? Is it time to plant annuals?
I'd wait till the weekend. We got a couple cool nights coming, a couple 40-degree nights the next couple of nights. I've been watching before I get mine in.
Okay. The gardens that you showed are glorious. Does anyone have just regular gardens that are part of the garden walks?
Yeah, most definitely. There's lots that they have some annuals. They're still beautiful. They're proud of their gardens. They've worked hard. So you do not have to have an over-the-top spectacular garden.
In fact, that's maybe a percentage, a smaller percentage of the gardens that we do have. Like I said, we're not really worried about how spectacular your garden is, which is why we don't pick the best garden or anything like that. We're more interested about the story of how many times you had to replace that plant and you finally got it going and you figured it out. Share that little spark of magic,
And it's fascinating. Many gardeners will show before pictures and some of what they've started with nothing, and just even, getting a couple flower beds in or a vegetable garden. And it's awesome to see changes, see what they've accomplished.
Is the goal to have more gardens participating or more people attending?
Both are goals for us.
Yes.
We want to see participation and we want to see attendance. Both are integral to the idea of community building. You can't build community without people on both sides.
Okay. And then the final question we have is, a lot of the towns have their own garden walks, Amherst, Kenmore. is there one calendar that people can find out every garden walk in Western New York or in Buffalo or in Erie County?
That's you,
Yes, we
Beth.
do. On our website, we do have the calendar on the gardensbuffaloniagara.com website. There is a calendar of all the garden walks, beginning with Lewiston early or in June. It has all our events as well as all the area garden walks. There is also, if you're at any of our tabling events, we will have listings of all the events in the area beginning. We should have a table at Juneteenth as well as at the garden art sale.
There actually is one more comment from Diane, who says your organization rocks. Thank you all for all you do. Our volunteers are excited to be part of the Eastside Garden Walk this year at Historic Concordia Cemetery. Oh, there is one more question, sorry. Where can I get a bike blender? Is that a flower?
Grassroots Gardens. They've got them. You got to get in touch with Grassroots Gardens.
Dennis, that's all the questions that we have.
That's great.
Thank you.
I'll mention, as a supporter, you're nice enough to send me this book by, I'm trying to get it. There it is. Yeah, there it is. But it's a wonderful book. Is this available to individuals? How it shows all the gardens in the area? I can't emphasize enough the reputation that Buffalo has developed because of what you said. You merged everything together, and suddenly it's the largest free garden walk, certainly in the country, who knows, maybe the world. But it really commented, your business model is fascinating. I enjoy free. That's why this library program is with the library. You expect free, and the more things we design, I think that's how we promote democracy, that everybody can participate.
Mhm.
Everybody's garden is showable, and everybody can be a viewer. And the City of Good Neighbors really lives up to its title as it invites people in, strangers into their backyards just to chat and see their gardens. So that's my hats off to you, ladies. Do you have anything further to wrap this up with?
Say the Open Gardens guide that you showed is available for a donation at various garden centers. The list is also online, or it can be ordered online.
Good.
The
And
only
that is-
thing I would say is I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the community garden for the Eastside Garden Walk.
All right, well, let's recap this, give the dates again for both the West Side and East Side Garden Walk, as well as the children's you mentioned in October.
Okay, well, Garden Walk Buffalo is July 29th and 30th from 10 to 4.
And the Eastside Garden Walk is Saturday and Sunday, July 22nd and 23rd. So the weekend before Garden Walk Buffalo, we kind of kick it off.
Mhm.
It's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the Children's Garden Festival is in Martin Luther King Park on Sunday, October 8th. And I believe the time was 1 to 5 p.m.
All right, well, ladies, thank you for your good effort. It's all a lot of volunteers make this
Yes.
happen, as is with so many good adventures. This is our attempt to connect all these lifelong learning communities, because that's what you really are at Garden Walk, a lifelong learning community with those building the gardens, creating them with nature, and those that come to view them on your special weekend. So thank you both for a great presentation. Now,
And thank you.
you're welcome. Next week, we're going to have Allison Dehoney, and Allison is going to be interviewed by my co-host, JD Hartman. And her organization is, let's see, she's the executive director of Buffalo Go Green. So please tune into that. It's one of these months where we have 5 Tuesdays. So we have a special program, and JD gives me a hand with that. I'll be out of town. So enjoy and tell your friends Go Green has gotten a lot of publicity lately, so it'll be a great program. I'm Dennis Galucki. Be well and good day.